We saw Melchizedek, the first two epical revelations. We talked about evolutionary religion. We talked about revelatory religion. We talked about those powerful but simple teachings of Melchizedek himself. Now we're going to go forward from there. Andre Radatus is going to bring us talk about the connection, lighting the way for our Creator Son, and take us up to the fourth epical revelation, and then later today we'll get to our, well, I don't want to say our favorite, but ours at least, the fifth epical revelation, and then tomorrow we might even take a glimpse into the future. For those of you keeping score, this is a ad-lib personal introduction to bio. As you'll be able to tell. Remember when Chuck had up here yesterday, the quote from, I think it was from Isaiah, "Come, let us reason together," says the Lord. That new relationship where you have a being that not only can you relate to and somehow you can literally reason with. Such a change in our what was available to us as humanity on our planet. And there's few people that embody that aspect of God better than Andre. I'm sure that's how he came to love the revelation. And it's what everyone loves about him. It's not just rationality, reason of mind, it's reasoning with God. And we're privileged to share some of those insights, which I'm sure we'll do in a minute here. I have gotten to know Andre a little bit on a more personal level this week, and I'm super grateful for that. And one of the first things that, after we talk about, the size of galaxies or redshift or something else, it doesn't take too long for him to mention his daughters, his children, and the three wonderful children who mean so much to him. So not only is he reasoning with the Father, he's being the Father, and he's actuating the Father, and showing them the Father, and showing us the Father. So I know you'll enjoy his presentation, and let me get out of the way.
Thank you very much for those generous remarks. Wonderful to be here and good to be with you all. Good morning. Isn't it wonderful to be together in fellowship on Urantia? To actually have a revelation that starts us up on a higher foundation with each other. There's much less that we have to navigate at first in order to get to know each other. Isn't that a remarkable feature of our revelation? So, with that, you must, if you haven't done so yet this morning, take literally 10 seconds, turn to your right, say hello. Now turn to your left. You have just experienced the wonderfulness of personality. And as I need it, I will just use a bring you back. And we will enjoy that yet again later on. So let me just see if this is working okay. Yes, it is. We're lighting the way to our Creator's Son. Now, I'm going to just give you through some of this. What's remarkable about Melchizedek is he came here specifically for that purpose, right? The Melchizedeks knew of Michael's future bestowal on Urantia, but they didn't know how soon it would occur. His purpose was to prepare the way and set the monotheistic stage of world tendency. The world to become monotheistic. For the bestowal of an actual paradise son of the one God whom he so vividly portrayed as the father of all, and whom he represented to Abraham as a God who would accept man on the simple terms of personal faith. And Michael, when he appeared on earth, confirmed all that Melchizedek had taught concerning the paradise father. Remarkable. In entering upon the Urantia bestowal, said Gabriel, you have voluntarily divested yourself of all extraplanetary support and special assistance, such as might be rendered by any creature of your creation. As your created sons of Nebadon are wholly dependent upon you for safe conduct throughout their universe careers, so now must you become wholly and unreservedly dependent upon your paradise Father for safe conduct through the unrevealed vicissitudes of your ensuing mortal career. And what grabbed me with this, and why I think it's significant, is that he's reminding Michael, Gabriel is, oh, sorry, Emmanuel. That was Emmanuel. Well, I knew if I didn't correct myself, one of you would correct me. So that's amazing. Isn't it? To refer to this, I never noticed this before. Safe conduct. Safe conduct. I guess until we fuse, we're looking for safe conduct. We could, always turn a little bit if we're not careful. So, and when you should have finished this bestowal experience, you know in very truth, you will know in very truth the full meaning and the rich significance of that faith and trust which you so unvaryingly require all your creatures to master as part of their intimate relationship with you as their local universe creator and father. Why is this significant? This is what Melchizedek knew he had to prepare Michael for. The living of this life as we live. That's what he was preparing for. And he wanted the ground to be saturated as much as possible with monotheistic culture. At least that's as good as it was going to get for him, in order for him to be able to progress and to have something not only to transmit to us, but something to actually live through and achieve his sovereignty. That supreme sovereignty, it's not just sovereignty, right? It's that sovereignty that is full and replete with experience. That's what he was trying to do for us. And he couldn't get it if he didn't have a good monotheistic culture from which to develop that. Now, I mean, really, all bets are off, right? It's Michael. I think Michael could have pulled the rabbit out of the hat. But one of his elder sons, right? We were told the Melchizedeks represent the eldest sons in the universe. he wanted to make sure that Dad had it all going like a good son would. Consider for a moment what Melchizedek knew he was constrained to do. Remember, he's a Melchizedek, he's not, I'm not going to say it that way. You know, we disparage them, non-index too much. Being a non-rebellious personality, he knew that he could only engage in revelation that works alongside evolution. He knew he could take away nothing. And this, and I know what it says up there. This is where God would say, the flaw. It's the flaw in the Asian pottery that is letting the light in. He knew he could take away nothing, not forcibly dislodge truth. That's the important thing here, is that, you know, just like Jesus would take away nothing, right, from anyone. He would put a truth in place. So, but he can't put in truth that's too high. Here's what he did. He didn't take away sacrifice, he attempted to substitute for it with a new sacrament, bread and wine, but did not take anything away. And he also gave no new radical thing and could derail their growth. We already had enough experimentation with that, haven't we? Are you still having fun on your ranch? Me too. Therefore, Melchizedek could not introduce his regular disciples directly to the concepts of loving worship of God and selfless service to his fellows. Now, this to me was fascinating when I considered this. This is what Jesus did 2,000 years ago. Jesus gave us the gospel, loving worship of God, and loving service of our fellows. And that was simple. But think about this. Could Melchizedek have done that 2,000 years earlier? Not likely. Not likely. Not on that ground of polytheism and all the things he was dealing with. So what he did is he attempted to elevate their concept of God to one worthy of trust and faith. And he left it at that. For most of them. We know about Nordan the Kenite. And by the way, there are many Nordan the Kenites here and Nordanas. Right? I mean, this is why we have a Urantia revelation. It's because you can read about paradise and get to be understanding. When you think about that, you start to feel worshipful. You start to realize how lucky we are. There are other people not quite as lucky yet. Let's make them lucky. That was not deemed too far reach, even though few could wholeheartedly live up to it. I'm going to try to be aware of time here. Yeah, what?
Yeah, however long it takes. So.
Hey, Mo. We got through one section tonight. All right. I want to be respectful of all the other presenters. He only attempted to elevate their concept of God to one worthy of their trust and faith, and that was that was not deemed too far a reach, even though few could wholeheartedly live up to it, right? So there is a stretch. You do stretch people, but you don't stretch them too far. You don't stretch them to the breaking point. And this is always funny about Abraham, right? It required the offer of a covenant for Abraham to half-heartedly get on board with the gospel of trust and faith. He kind of trusted him. And it was only when Isaac was born that now he really trusted him. So on the other hand, let's consider the minor concessions to factuality in order to get across a higher truth. This is fascinating. And that night, as they talked up under the stars, Melchizedek began his mission, the revelation of truth and the reality of God, when with a sweep of his arm, he turned to Amnon, saying, El Elyon, the Most High, is the divine creator of the stars, of the firmament, and even of the very earth on which we live, and he is also the supreme God of heaven. Well, he had me at Most High. Revelation doesn't teach that the Most High has created the earth and the heavens. You know, it never occurred to me before this study. This is the beauty of studying, right? This is the beauty of studying with each other, is we learn things we could not learn any other way by ourselves. So all of a sudden that occurs to you. But what's the higher truth in this? Oh, that Melchizedek's fib? No. The higher truth is that higher truth does not depend on absolute factuality. And we have examples throughout the Urantia book on that. And there are some other things, some other truths that we can learn on that as well. So while counterfactual, the Most High creates nothing. Machiventa saw no problem declaring this subordinate son. Whatever I just said there. So Machiventa Melchizedek had to take into account all kinds of background factors in preparing and planning for Michael's bestowal. We're told that this was due to a number of unusual circumstances. You'll remember these. One, the life modification status of Urantia. Two, the exigencies of the Lucifer rebellion. The disruptions of the Adamic default, and hasn't happened yet, but it's coming, and it'll be disruptive too. Irregularities growing out of the fact that Urantia was about to be one of the bestowal worlds of the universe sovereign. Michael of Demnon aspired to be the planetary prince of Urantia. Now that's some poetic license, aspired to be. Did he really aspire to be? You know, not because he wanted the power, but he wanted to be a loving father of this world. He would bet that, or he wouldn't have chosen him. And he knew that that's what would happen. He knew that he would be invested in this because he'd done 6 other bestowals. And when he had been a system sovereign, his second bestowal, and he'd been a material son on his third bestowal, he fell in love with those places too. He probably fell in love with Andantum on the 6th bestowal. So all of that means that he was already in love with Urantia before he came there. For 40,000 years. And not just trying to figure things out. Trying to do his best here for us. What an amazing dad. What an amazing brother. So let's look at that life modification status of Urantia. There were many unique features of the Urantia life experiment. But the two outstanding episodes were the appearance of the endonic race prior to the evolution of the six-colored peoples and the later simultaneous appearance of the Sangic mutants in a single family. I don't know what that did, but I think we're weird. Well, okay, I'll speak for myself. I know I'm weird. Okay. Let's go on from there. Another outstanding variation of procedure was the late arrival of the planetary prince. Now that was really weird. 500,000 years. You know, you have to, was this a sign? Was this a sign? Should we have paid attention that Caligastia waited 500,000 years? It was his choice. But you know, there's something deeper. He was functioning as a good planetary prince there. There was something, he was, remember, they said he really took a shine to life experiment planets. So maybe he wanted to see how things would really evolve. So despite the fact that we didn't get 800,000 years of the planetary prince, we only got 300,000, then it was erased. Maybe 800,000 would have been harder to erase, you know. It's still interesting to consider that he delayed that long. Okay, let's go on. The seven adjunct spirits are, I want to read this to you. This may seem like a non sequitur, but here is something that they tell us about our world that I think is really key to understanding ourselves and to understanding some of the difficulty that Melchizedek and Michael and everybody's had with us. That they just mention almost in passing, it's almost a throwaway, but I think it's one of the most important things they tell us about ourselves. Seven adjunct mind spirits are more circuit-like than any like, and on ordinary worlds, they're encircuited with other adjunct functionings throughout the local universe. Normally, the adjunct mind spirits can benefit from what the adjunct mind spirits have learned on 3.8 million other worlds. Oh. On life experiment planets, however, they are relatively isolated. We win again! And on Urantia, owing to the unique nature of the life patterns, the lower adjuncts experienced far more difficulty in contacting with the evolutionary organisms than would have been the case in more standardized type of life endowment. Again, okay, now they go. You may not have gotten this, so let's wind up and tell you. Again, on an average evolutionary world, the seven adjunct spirits are far better synchronized with the advancing stages of animal development than they were on Urantia, but with a single exception. That's 1 in 3,840,101 worlds. With but a single exception, the adjuncts experienced the greatest difficulty in contacting with the evolving minds of Urantia organisms that they had ever had in all their functioning throughout the universe of Nebadon.
There you go.
Winners, like lottery winners. On this world, there developed many forms of order phenomena, confusional combinations of the mechanical non-teachable and the non-mechanical teachable types of organismal response. Now, the way they put that there, they do that so that you will go, huh? They do that on purpose. Come on. Mechanical, non-teachable, non-mechanical. Yeah, that gets right in there, doesn't it? Just goes right in. So they go on. On this world, there develop many forms of order phenomena, confusional combinations. So what does it mean? That's what I think it means. This is how I interpret that. Urantians may be more adept at forming habits that they cannot learn their way out of. We may have extreme difficulty breaking habits once formed because a teachable circuit of mind is inaccessible to us. Yeah. Does this ring true for any of you? Anyone? Any pen options in the audience? Anywhere else? No? Have you ever met someone so stubborn? They wouldn't budge. Have you ever known someone who couldn't stop, and this is more serious, taking some action harmful to themselves or others once they started? They were able to learn their way into a behavior that they couldn't learn their way out of. Right? That's really what it means. That's what teachable, non-teachable means. In normal worlds, people can learn their way out of problems that are more difficult for us. Now, it's not the same for everybody with every problem. But each of us has our own special area. Remember the pet evil, Matadormus. Why did Matadormus have such a problem? Well, everyone has one pet evil, or maybe not just one, that is necessary for surrender to enter the kingdom of heaven. And I think that relates. Have you ever encountered a true believer that has zero openness to a different way of seeing God or humankind? Well, have you? So Machiventa had been observing Urantians at close quarters with his 11 fellows for almost 200,000 years. Right? There was that second group of receivers. We had Melchizedek receivers at the beginning, dealing with all the life stuff, then they left. Then this new group came when the rebellion happened. He would have been aware of stubborn rigidity of belief and how that could work for and against his project. Wait a minute. I'm sure there's all kinds of ways we can comprehend the against parts. We've seen that. How might a creative mind think of using that for the project? Can it be advantageous when good habits are formed? I can see your wheels turning. Keep them turning. This is going to be an advantage someday to Urantians, but I don't know how yet. So we had the exigencies of the Lucifer rebellion. He was in a world where Caligastia, Dalagastia, and the rebel midwares. We know that. Many of our previous wonderful plenary speakers were speaking about that. There was very little order established on this world outside of isolated pockets like Lake Man. Almost nothing remained of what the prince's regime had evolved for over 300,000 years. And then we just saw this yesterday as well. But by 2500 BC, mankind had largely lost sight of the revelation sponsored in the days of Eden. That's approximately, who's counting? A little less than 34,000 years have passed between the beginning of both regimes. Now, as Elizabeth Callahan, my lovely sister, pointed out in her presentation on evolutionary religion, Machiventa Melchizedek had to start out almost from scratch. He had to grow his new religious culture largely on the old foundation of the ghost cults, polytheism and superstition, animism, all those wonderful things that you learned from that wonderful presentation. Basically fear-based religion, right? Anybody grow up with fear-based religion? Anyone? Okay. You second generation and third generation people. You know how lucky you are.
Yeah.
So, on that primitive foundation, Machiventa started with this. And this. What is it? Faith and trust in who? Yeah. So what he did, was he successful? Well, we saw again from some of our prior presentations that yes. So I'll just go through a few of these. Okay. Okay. I could do it. Okay. All right. Okay. So this comes, of course, from paper 131, The World Religions, which we're told because they went to the Library of Alexandria. They were cultivating, they were capturing the seeds that had germinated that Machiventa had put down 2,000 years earlier and with the Salem missionaries. And I'm not going to go into that because I'm not going to step on that presentation. But you'll be hearing about that. And what's wonderful is here they could cultivate. So did it work? Did it work? Yeah, he prepared the way. Here was one of the beautiful quotes. When you stand before God with a clean heart, you become fearless of all creation. The Most High is like a loving father and mother. He really loves us, his children on earth. Our God will give us and guide our footsteps into the ways of salvation. He will take us by the hand and lead us to himself. God saves those who trust him. He does not compel man to serve his name. If the faith of the Most High has entered your heart, then shall you abide free from fear throughout all the days of your life. Fret not yourself because of the prosperity of the ungodly. Fear not those who plot evil. Let the soul turn away from sin and put your whole trust in the God of salvation. You know where that ended up? I mean, that was the cynics, right? Okay, I guess that's gone. No, it's not gone. You know where it ended up? Islam. And Sikhism. Right. Very good. All right. Yahweh. What religion is that? Yahweh is the God of my salvation. Therefore, in the divine name will I put my trust. I will trust in the Lord with all my heart. I will lean not upon my own understanding. In all my ways I will acknowledge him, and he shall direct my paths. The Lord is faithful. He keeps his word with those who serve him. The just shall live by his faith. If you do not do well, it is because sin lies at the door. Men reap the evil they plow, and the sin they sow. Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Well, the beautiful part of that comes right at the end. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is, right? As a man thinketh, that wonderful little book. That was how. Let's think better, all of us. And one more. My soul is filled with content and my heart overflows with the bliss of peaceful trust. I have no fear. I am free from anxiety. I dwell in security and my enemies cannot alarm me. I am satisfied with the fruits of my confidence. There's that trust again. I have found the approach to the immortal easy of access. I pray for faith to sustain me on the long journey. I know that faith from beyond will not fail me. I know my brethren will prosper if they become imbued with the faith of the immortal, even the faith that creates modesty, uprightness, wisdom, courage, knowledge, and perseverance. Let us forsake sorrow and disown fear. By faith, let us lay hold upon true righteousness and genuine manliness. Let us learn to meditate on justice and mercy. Faith is man's true wealth. It is the endowment of virtue and glory. Well, and that's from Buddhism. Why was there Yahweh if it was from Buddhism? Or maybe that was a different quote. Okay, I'm confusing myself. I'm confused by confusional combinations. Okay. When the faith of your religion has emancipated your heart, when the mind like a mountain is settled and immovable, then shall the peace of the soul flow tranquilly like a river of waters. Those who are sure of salvation are forever free from lust, envy, hatred, and delusions of wealth. While faith is the energy. Oh, I went back too far quickly. If you would be certain of final salvation and make sure you sincerely, okay. Another crack in the jar. Okay, we are, okay, still have time. This is an activity that could get way out of hand, and I had planned for a little bit more time on this. But the reason you greeted each other is I wanted you to get a chance to talk to each other about something very important. Faith and trust. Having considered Machiventa Melchizedek's broad discretion, what he did right now, and simplicity to implement his teaching and dissemination, we should be considering our own life's plan. So let's do that for 5 minutes. I know. What would you imagine your life to be like without faith and trust in a loving God? And I would just suggest maybe answering one of these questions with your fellow. 2, what can you envision your life to be like with complete faith and trust in that personal God of love? How really does Machiventa's patient plan of faith and trust, it's still working in God, lay the foundation for the master's vision of a life of love and worship of God and service of one's fellows? And does Abraham's covenant still hold for me and you? Pick any one of those. You turn to somebody, turn to the person you didn't like. I'm just kidding. We don't love each other. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves for 5 minutes and we'll debrief. All right, so I hate to curtail the discussion because it seems like you were getting into it. That's great. That's wonderful. And you probably went to some interesting places. You can say it and I'll go ahead and I'll repeat it. Christina, you had an interesting conversation there with Al.
We like number 1 and number 3, so we combine them. And like when you're living a life of faith and trust and also a life of loving service, but you're interpreted through the lens of it's all about me and it's all about selfishness, then you're misinterpreted just like the master was in crucifying.
Yeah, so it's difficult. it's difficult, isn't it, to commit and have the social awareness of the disconnect with others with that particular, when you've made that kind of commitment, others don't relate to it in the society's not supporting it. And we're told in a normal world, there would be a culture, right, that would support all this stuff. If things would have grown so that this would be normal. Hey, wait a minute. I just realized something. This makes us more normal. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it does. And Tim and I were talking just briefly. Tim, you were talking about another aspect of faith and trust.
Just super practically, in the past 36, 48 hours, I've had to just have a lot of faith and a lot of trust that a lot of people are gonna do a lot of things. And it's working out in ways that are awesome, and I didn't even know would occur. And achievement.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So for those of you that didn't hear, he has had to have a lot of faith and trust that people would do their assigned roles during this, and people have done it, which is the counterpoise to what you were saying. In this culture, people are doing what they're supposed to do because of that wonderful teachings we're responding to, but not just that, the fellowship that we're responding to. Well, I would love to take more comments, but I'm beholden to wrap up, so I will do so. On the Urantia Book Network's UBN Spirit of Truth podcast, I told you I was going to do this. Number 11, our friend, brother, and author, J.J. Johnson. My man. Is he there? Oh, there it is. Has the following to say about one aspect of our revelation that validates it for every student, believer of the Urantia book who's taken it for what it says it is. And that is, the Urantia book derives its authority from the fruits of its acceptance in the hearts of those individuals who choose to accept these truths based upon the leading of their indwelling spirit, guided by the spirit of truth. Fruits of its acceptance. All of you. All of you. It's what keeps me coming back. Stepping back from this study, we have been given a great privilege in having a window into what Machiventa Melchizedek did to keep truth alive on a world that is yet to value, striving to live what is livable. Truth. It's not truth if it's not livable. And if you're not living it, it's not truth. We have been given a view of how he paved the way as best as he could to give our Creator Son, now Master Son, the best road forward to make better his nativity planet, our planet of origin. This first worldwide cohort has largely benefited from unearned fruit, this manna from heaven. Oh, by the way, did I tell you this was an editorial? We have benefited from a fellowship that starts from a higher foundation and is kickstarted to enjoy the benefits of this truth as it functions sporadically in conferences and ongoing service in disseminating the book and its teachings. May we continue to earn the truth that our beloved revelators have given us in this revelation as we wisely and lovingly pay it forward to our sisters and brothers in other cultures and to future generations. When I say earn it, I think of the corporal and private Ryan who's to his dying captain. And his dying captain's last words are, earn this. So for all of you, earn the gift of this revelation.